We should be on, James. Guys, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, they can hear us, James.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Guys, welcome. How are you? Okay, they can hear us, James. Okay. Guys, welcome. How are you? Okay, let me just do one last check. Um, guys, I just did an adjustment with my mic. Can you still hear me? Okay, perfect. Absolutely. Guys, welcome. I'm so glad that you guys can join us today. We are here with our special guest, James, who has so graciously offered to come and tell his story about his twin flame journey. And it just kind of give us a masculine perspective because I mean, as DFs, we have community, right? We get to liaise with other DFs and chat, and we kind of know how each other experiences things and how we feel, but we don't often hear about the masculine, and that's male in body. I should really qualify perspective. And James is here to tell a story. James, welcome.
Hello.
James, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Are you guys hearing
Hello?
James? I'm not hearing James. Can you? Yes, you guys can hear James. All right. Why am I not hearing
Oh,
James? James, could you just speak again?
yep.
Okay, I can
Hello.
hear you now. Okay, I
Oh,
see
cool.
the issue. All right. Okay, I might have to plug out this mic. Um, James, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, I'm getting the feedback. Guys, 1 second.
Oh,
All this was kind of working in studio, but now we're getting a bit of feedback here. Okay, guys, are you hearing any echoing or is it just me?
I'm not hearing any echoing.
You're not hearing any echo. Okay, so it's something with
No.
me. Okay, it'll clear up. Don't worry. James, thank you so much for being here and thank you for coming to offer the masculine perspective. So
No,
let's
no
start from the
problem.
beginning. Tell us about when you met
Yeah.
your twin.
Um, so I met my twin about 11 years ago. Um, it was out um in a nightclub, but
Mhm.
I guess it was different because um I had went out sober with my uncle. So I was sort of at the start of my healing journey, and my uncle who was with me said, like we can go out, but the deal is you have to be we go out sober, and you tell me the difference. Like he was just trying to open my mind up. Um, and we'd went out and we're in the nightclub, and I actually seen my wife. She was dancing. She was out with her sister and that, and um yeah, it was sort of captured at first, and then I approached her. Um, yeah, and then so that's how we met, and that to me is how it started, and the reason, yeah, I say it started then, even though I wasn't aware of twin flames and stuff like that. Um, that to me is when it started. Hello?
Sorry about that, James. Did you
Oh,
feel drawn to her in a particular way? Did you feel like this was somebody you needed to get to know?
yeah, I did actually. I I did. So I approached her, and um she in a polite way sort of brushed me, and then I was like, okay. And I went and stood back, and then later on, without her realizing that it was me, she'd asked me to come over, and like we laugh about that now. So I I went over and started talking, and which was different for me because I'm not a big talker. Um, yeah, and so I we got talking, and then she loves to dance, so ended up dancing, and yeah, and then I knew from that night that I wanted to get to know her more, so I was in that chasing energy where I was, yeah, chasing and just trying to meet up, and we would talk, we would we would talk a fair bit
Yeah,
over the phone, and then eventually we met up, and then obviously like kept meeting up, um, and I think we were at different stages in our life. So I she was sort of she didn't know what she wanted to do,
yeah,
um, and stuff, and yeah, and then so the more we met up, the more I got to know her, and
yeah,
I started developing the feelings,
yeah,
um, and then but because she wasn't sure, I was
yeah,
sort of um, I didn't want to keep putting myself in that position,
yeah.
and yeah, like I said
So you wanted to
before,
guard your heart?
it, yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah.
I was scared of being hurt, um, and I think
Okay.
that's linked to childhood the childhood trauma
Yeah,
of like yeah, fear of abandonment and just getting hurt, like
yeah,
yeah, I guess you don't but then
yeah,
obviously we ended up staying in touch because I sort of said like I can't keep doing it, um I just, yeah, I'd like to go the next step. And um,
Yeah,
I'd moved from my hometown to where she'd grew up, and it's that even the towns are totally different. Like I'm from more of a you'd
yeah,
say like a country sort of town where they're in the big city. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so that was different, and I'd moved down with my uncle and was working with him, and then all of that
yeah,
had like he worked for a non-profit, and their funding had got cut, and so they went back to our hometown, and I ended up staying, and she said like, why don't you move in with her? And that was the only reason that I stayed, really, was because of her, and she,
yeah.
yeah, opened up her door to me, and
That's why you
that's
stay.
when, yeah,
Interesting. Mm. So it definitely was not smooth sailing at all because it brought up a lot of triggers for you.
yeah, yeah. No,
Mm.
I think from from what I've learned from the twin flame thing and just hearing it, like
Yeah,
at the start of our relationship, it was very much like a chaser runner
yeah,
energy at the start, but then um we'd moved out, got our own place together, and I
yeah.
guess right from the start we were there was challenges right from the start, like from
Mm-hmm.
out, like not within our relationship but outside. Like I had a couple of friends, like, or right at the start of our relationship, we'd moved into our own place,
Mm-hmm.
um, and one of my best friends had passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
so straight away we were faced
Mm-hmm.
with that, like, and dealing with that, and I guess from with me and going had gone through that,
Yeah.
it was it's challenging because even now I struggle to talk about that stuff. Like, yeah, I think I was pretty shut off. Like with with feelings and stuff, I would sort of just hide it, and it would be the everything's all right, um, and just wanting to get past it and keep my mind busy and do something so my mind's busy all the time.
Got it.
Yeah. So
So how did you find?
there was yeah, challenges,
Yeah. So how did you find out about
and
like
they're
the word
pretty
twin
deep.
flames?
Um, well, it wasn't till later because we'd had um we had our first job down here, and then we'd moved back to my hometown, and like I said, like outside challenges we were faced with a lot. Um, like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the best relationship, or next to no relationship really with my father when I was younger, and but then as I got older, I sort of I had reached out. So there, when we moved back to my hometown,
Mm-hmm.
um, we were sort of in that, um, and then we were up there, and I ended up getting caught up in sort of like the old lifestyle,
Yeah.
of being in a small town and a lot of family, and um,
Yeah.
there's a lot of trauma there,
Yeah.
and even recent, like another one of my friends had been murdered, um,
Oh my goodness.
and so all of that stuff um, affected me, but I felt like I couldn't talk about it.
Right.
So sorry, I know this seems right off
No, no,
track,
no.
but it
Please,
all
please.
this
No,
is
no.
like the
Continue.
and then
Continue.
so I ended up sort of going downhill, and my my wife had to move back to her hometown, and so
Yeah.
that's where I believe like both of our healing started,
Yeah.
because then she had given me the ultimatum, because I it, I guess
Yeah.
um I just completely like shut off, and didn't want to talk, didn't really know how to talk. I think
Yeah.
a lot of men, but I can only speak for myself. So
Yeah.
a lot of men don't know how to talk, and then
Yeah.
your feelings come out sideways, and um and you don't even really know how to identify it. So um when I'd come, she told me, like, she'd never gave up on me. Like, I was at a low, like probably one of the lowest points in my life, and she stayed there for
Yeah.
me. Like, she never
Yeah.
turned away.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted my family, so I wanted her and my kids. That
Yes.
was, yeah. And so I'd moved back down,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to go to a rehabilitation place for
Yeah.
3 months, and
Yeah.
but it was more what I learnt there, where um, just learning the power of talking,
Yeah.
and um, understanding, and it gave me the right amount of time and a safe space with other men too, that are going through like similar things. Like, we're not all going through the same thing, but we're there for the same reason, and that's to um, get better and understand ourselves more.
Yeah.
And I guess I learned a lot about myself and where a lot of my triggers come from.
Yes.
So I think at the start of this, you were saying how the DFs all have a like you connect and have a space
Yes.
where well, that was a safe space for DMs to connect
Beautiful.
and um, like
Yeah.
talk and get to know yourself, but then
Yeah.
get to see, yeah, other other men that are feeling
Yeah.
the same thing and going through the same thing, and it just
Yeah.
helps with your relationship. Like, cause my wife, her healing has started, and she had gone to a mind body spirit festival, and
Yes.
that's where she first learned about the twin flame, and that's when I first heard about it. Because as a DM, I guess I'm a bit more, and that's not to say that DFs aren't practical, but I know within myself, I'm more practical than,
Yeah.
like, say, the talking and researching.
Yes.
So I hear a lot of the terms through my wife,
Right.
and that,
Got it.
and she like I'll hear it, and then I'll notice the sort of the synchronicities of
Yeah.
things that come up through like my messages.
Interesting. What sort of
Yeah.
synchronicities did you experience? Was it recurring numbers? What did you experience?
Yeah, she introduced me to 1111, like the time, and that's sort of
Mm-hmm.
like, and it still happens now, like whenever it's 1111, or sometimes I'll go to check the phone and it's
Yeah.
1111, and
Interesting.
I always think of her. Whenever I see that, I think of
You
her.
think of it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Did you have any strange dreams about her or anything like that?
Um, no, but she is in my dreams. Like there has been dreams, but I wouldn't say
Yeah.
they're strange. Um, it could just be, yeah,
Yes.
like
Interesting.
they're in the. I know that she's in the dream. Yeah, but
Okay.
strange dreams, not really.
That's okay. All right. So you said that she's the one that introduced you to the word twin flames. But when did you
Yeah,
think that, okay, I definitely think this is what is happening? When she first told you about it, what did you think? And then how did you know for sure, yeah, I think this is what's going on?
I get because when she told me about it, um, she was gone. She went into like how it sort of works and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and a lot of things we could line up in our past
Mm-hmm.
that were like, oh yeah, like that's the whole running, chasing, and that can be both ways. Like when we first met, I was the
Yeah.
chaser, and she was
Yeah.
running, and then it turned around, and then with what I was going through, I ended up being sort the runner, and
Yes.
she was there to chase, and then I guess once we had come after that part, um,
Yeah.
yeah, so we would line it up with um the things that she was learning. But then she actually did the twin flame check with you,
Right. Okay.
and
Interesting.
yeah, that was cool. That was
Interesting.
really cool.
So was it at that point that you accepted that this was really happening and was your twin? Or was it when you heard about the dynamic?
Um, I would say for me, it was definitely when you had done the check, the twin
Right.
flame check. That
You
was
went into acceptance.
yeah. But
Mm,
also like going through it and going, wow, like there's it can't be a coincidence that all these things line up.
yeah, I
Um,
get you. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah,
So everything just kind of, all the puzzle pieces kind of fit into place at that point.
yeah, yeah. Everything
Mm,
sort of yeah, it come together, and then it just made us dive deeper into our relationship and have more understanding because and I think it's really special because the things that I lack in, she's
yeah.
really good at. So
Right.
we complement each other in a lot of
Right.
ways. Like I said, like I'm more practical. Like I will hear things and or like I'll study things and I want to do it. Like I want to
Yeah.
practice it straight away. Where she can research, like she'll do the research and stuff. Like she's a good, like she's great at talking. I'm
Yeah.
not really a talker.
Yeah.
Um, sending emails and stuff like that, like even things like that that are tied to work. Um, she helps me with all of that stuff. Like I'm not good on computers. I'll fall asleep
Yeah.
on computers, where yeah, she has that. But I guess through the communication, I think a big one is communication and understanding. I guess
Communication. Yeah.
when I got to go to a space that allowed me to heal and understand, um, like first just understand um the feelings that I was having,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
and more understanding myself. So it's like in cultures. So I think it's important too. It's like you have men's business and then you have women's business, and
Yes.
they're separate, but they benefit the relationship between the men and women.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
it was like getting to understand. All right, this like my triggers, and then I can be open with her.
yeah.
Just learning the importance of talking to your wife or your partner, and then it falls into like every relationship where it's just showing up as yourself
Yourself.
and being honest, and then yeah, and saying like this here, this triggers, and this is where it comes from. Because I'm safe with her, I can say like, oh, this is linked to when I was a kid, and it's something that I'm working on.
Perfect.
So, and
So,
then
you
we have that understanding.
got you. So, from what you said, the biggest turning point was really you doing the deep healing on yourself and understanding yourself. And when you understood
Yeah,
yourself, you were able to show up differently in the relationship. You were able to communicate. Then you two were able to create a safe space for each other because you were being open, honest, and authentic. But you had to do the healing work on yourself first.
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. You like, cause cause she also done very deep healing, but when I was going
Right.
through my deep healing, she um she was more there for me, and then when I'd return,
Yes.
she and not to say like we're still healing, so because there's
Yes.
still
Yes.
things that happen today, so it's but
Yes.
we're a lot better with it. Like we have more understanding, and we'll give each other the space, or we'll create space, like
Yes.
because we know how important it is.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely from just doing our own inner work,
Yeah.
it benefited the relationship as a whole.
I got you. Perfect.
Yeah. So as a male, like I can't speak for every male, but
Yeah.
myself, I struggle to talk, like especially about feelings
Yes.
and what's going on, and that was taught at a young age, like where it's like, no, don't talk, get up, brush it off, like
Yeah.
be all right, get on with it, like
Yes.
that sort of talk for men is it can put blockages up
Exactly.
that
Of
come out
course.
later, and yeah, and also not having say like I had father figures, but a father, like, oh, I should say, like male role models,
Yeah.
and my father was more my grandfather.
Yes.
Growing up,
I see.
my, yeah, it was my mum's dad,
Yes.
and we were really close. When we was young, when so I'd seen him, but he worked fly in fly out job, so he would be gone for a month and back for a week. So it wasn't like constant enough
Yeah.
where I can look back now and see all the good qualities that he had, like and the things that he taught me. But as a father, I know
Yeah.
I don't, and that's why like oh, so I'm an artist. I my my work of what I've learned now and looking at that the way I've seen so many men work. They spend a lot of time away from their family, and I know I
Yeah.
don't want that. Like I want to be in my kid's life, and that's linked to my childhood as well.
Yes.
But yeah,
Okay. I got you. Let me ask you, James, how long have you known your twin? Like, how long have you guys been like together from the moment that you met her to now? How long has it been?
11 years,
11 years. And of
11
those
years.
11 years, you were living together for how long? Or are living together?
Oh, nearly, I would say about 11 years. Yeah, because we'd only known each other for a couple of months,
And then you guys
and
moved in together.
then I moved in. Yeah,
Yeah. And then you guys had some moments of separation, right? Was it like 1 month, 2 month things?
yeah, or like it'd be to do with work. Like I might have, yeah, like I
Got
would
it.
go up for work, and so I went back to my hometown. There was one time I lasted about 2 weeks, and I was like, nah, oh no, didn't
Got
want
it.
to be apart. Yeah,
Yeah. Wants to be with her. All right. And then
yeah.
of those 11 years, how many years now have you known that you're a twin?
Oh, that's a, like say
When did
it's
she first tell you
been
about Twin
last.
Flames? When she went to that festival? How long
Yeah,
ago was
so
that?
that would have been 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So you guys knew each other
Yeah,
for 11, but you didn't get the awareness that you guys were twins until about 3 years ago.
yeah.
hmm and when would you say, it has to be just be an approximation. When did you start doing your deep healing work? How many years ago? Just approximate.
Um, I guess I s- I had started when I'd first moved down, so that would have been roughly 11 to 12 years ago.
You had started
But
doing some introspection. Go
it
ahead.
was, yeah, the first time I'd sort of been introduced to like things like meditation, but the deep healing, like
Yeah.
where like the deep healing was
Yes.
3 years ago.
3 years ago. That's
Yeah,
when you really did the deep dive.
yeah, yeah. And that was just the I was in a space and it was with all other men that are on um the same journey. Like not the same journey, like the same path of healing and wanting
Of
to
healing.
get better and yeah, do better.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
Now, from your perspective, what made it easier to open up to your partner? Was it the safe space that you guys created? Was it your healing and then you being more open? What was for you the single most important factor, or was it the communication? What was the single most important factor for you to be able to open up and really communicate with your twin?
Um, yeah, communicate like communication.
It was
Yeah.
communication.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So it was communication.
Yeah, it was communication, and I think a big part of it is
Yeah.
not being influenced by anything else. Like say like alcohol and
Right.
stuff. Like
Substances. Mm-mm.
yeah, and not that we
Okay.
weren't big drinkers. Like
Right.
it's not like we drank all the time. That wasn't
Yes.
uh a thing. It was yeah. I think that plays a role because we know that we're living a sober life where and
Yes.
you're always sort of connected because when alcohol is disconnects you
Got you.
like
Yeah.
for me like I can't speak for everyone I shouldn't but yeah I think living a sober life and just being truthful to what you want
Yeah.
um, and stuff, that all helps, but that only comes through good communication and understanding like our different love languages.
Got you.
Um,
Got you.
yeah, so like being able to like my my wife, she's a talker. She could
Yes.
talk for days.
Yeah.
Um, where I've said heaps of times, talking isn't exactly a strong point, but
Yeah.
I can talk with her and we have the ability to have deep conversations. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and and then like understanding my love language is more like physical. Um,
Right.
yeah,
Right. And by physical, do you mean just a sexual component or touching, hugging,
no, yeah,
snuggling
it could be
together?
just yeah, touching, hugging, like
Right. You need to
yeah,
feel that contact.
yeah,
Yeah. So even
yeah,
though the love was there, obviously, you felt the connection there. You felt this connection with this person. You still needed to do like practical things in order for the relationship to really work and progress. Right?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Perfect. I got it. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So, James, what I think we'll do now, unless there's anything else you want to mention, we're going to take some questions from our viewers if they have any. Is that all right with you?
yeah. That's
Okay,
no
perfect.
worries.
Okay, great. Guys, do you have any questions for James? Is there anything that you want to know about? Yeah, they co-sign what you're saying about the love language and stuff. Beautiful. Any questions for James? Whilst we're waiting on that, what's the biggest change that you've noticed in your partner since you guys did this big, deep healing work? What's the biggest change you say you noticed in her?
Or there's so many like
There's
yeah, it's crazy like because it gets some at sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming
yeah,
because you like opening yourself up, but um definitely practices a lot more
yeah,
like and is a lot there's a calmness like and she's very intuitive and
beautiful.
she can like it's crazy because we can tap into each other's energy um and she can feel when off,
Yeah,
and yeah, and we're still learning.
of
So
course.
and but we I think important like the best one of the best thing is that we enjoy learning together, and
Right.
we've created that like safe space, and like I feel safe to be able to talk and go like this of like this is happening or I'm feeling like this and this is because of yeah whatever could be going on, and it's sort of like yeah so
Beautiful.
but
Beautiful.
yes.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Someone wants to know, were you a deeply spiritual person before you met your twin? I know you mentioned that you had been introduced to meditation, but would you say you were a spiritual person before you met her?
um yes and no, because my culture had kept me spiritually connected,
Mm-hmm.
but
Ah,
in saying that um like when going through things I, I wasn't connected, like um and that's why like yeah I love my culture and I love being connected. So
I got you.
now it like that's a priority where when I was younger I was around it um
Yes.
yeah and stuff, but it's sort of like you don't see what you have until you don't have it.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So it's
and
only when you felt that disconnect that
inside
it's only when you felt that disconnect, then you realize just how powerful and important your culture was.
yeah, and
Mm.
then there's like moments in say like teenage years where you're being told by your elders like the the land is our medicine, like you have to connect, like you have to
Yes.
and, but because you're young, yeah, and you're doing all the silly things that young people do, or not all of them. I shouldn't say all of them. Um, yeah. So
Beautiful.
that that fed creates a disconnect, I
Yeah.
guess. But
Yeah.
in terms of understanding, like I don't even like saying that I fully understand it now because it's like I'm still learning, and I hope I'm
Yes.
forever learning.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, it's the importance of being connected.
Gotcha. Beautiful. That makes a lot of sense. Is there a big age gap between you guys, or you guys from different
Um,
cultures?
nah, it's we are from different cultures, but
Yes.
even in that, our cultures are very similar,
Ah,
like
okay.
very similar. Yeah,
Very similar.
and
Got it.
yeah, and a lot of her like yeah, so it's
Okay.
basically the same. Yeah, you wouldn't say we have a different culture. It's
It's basically the same.
different. Yeah,
Okay. How old were you guys when you guys met?
I was 22.
And how old was she?
Yeah, she's 23 or 22.
She's okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, she's one
Um,
year, 1 month, and 1 day older than me.
1
Yeah,
year, 1 month, 1 day. I like that.
yeah, and there comes all the ones like 11,
I
11.
know, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, was everyone happy for you guys to be together, or was there any kind of interference from family members or friends saying that you guys aren't going to work or whatever it is, or were people very supportive?
Yeah, there was definitely there was support, but then on my family side there was nah.
Yes.
There um yeah, there was
What were their
definitely some
objections? What were their
big challenges
objections?
there. Um, I think with my family it was it was sort of weird. It was like because they didn't know her
Right.
because our hometowns are like so far apart,
Mhm.
and yeah, the challenges it was yeah, they just didn't know her, and it was
Yeah.
almost like they didn't want to give her a chance,
Oh wow.
which was it was so yeah,
Oh where?
and that hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess that brought us closer. But now I do have one sibling, and like my mum, and that they love her like
Beautiful.
because they seen who she is.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but I guess that's got to do with their own healing because I don't really understand it, like
Yeah.
why that had to happen. Like there was little incidents that had happened, but
Mm.
not enough to completely shut somebody off,
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
thing. And in doing that, they also shut me off because
Yeah.
I, yeah, I wasn't. It's not like they had convinced me of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. It's so weird because they didn't even know how what could be their objection. That's interesting.
yeah,
Interesting. Hmm.
and because
Someone else.
she was
Go ahead.
quiet, like when it
Right.
came to my family, it was like she was quiet, and I don't know, but then they were always like, yeah, I don't really understand that. Like really thinking about it, and I've thought about it
Yeah.
for a bit, but yeah, I think that's linked to their own healing that they need to
Yeah.
go through.
Yeah. Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. Someone was asking, like, what made her different from other people you had known and from other relationships that you'd had? What made her stand out? What made her special?
Um, she is absolutely beautiful when I first
Okay.
seen her. Yeah, so that stood out. Um,
Yeah.
but just the way she talked and carried herself, and I felt comfortable around her
Yeah.
straight away.
Right.
Like yeah, when we had met up, like after the night that we'd met, um, it took a while. Like I said, like I was chasing, and then we'd met up, and just felt really comfortable around her. And then
Yeah.
we would talk on the phone um, all the time
Right.
and stuff. And I noticed I was because my grandfather, who was my father,
Yes.
I was in the room when he had passed away.
Oh wow.
And I'd never spoken about it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, like just in the early stages of us being
Yeah.
together, I felt safe enough and like comfortable enough, and I don't know why. I guess now I know, but
Yeah.
yeah, I could talk to her, and I felt like I could talk to her about um, things that I wouldn't really talk about.
Yeah, yeah. And you said straight up that you weren't a talker at all, and you felt it
Yeah,
difficult to discuss your emotions, and then bam, there you are
and then
opening up
yeah,
about a very painful
all of a sudden I'm
experience.
opening up about
Mm-hmm.
something that yeah I couldn't imagine myself talking about
Right.
like back then.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. You mentioned that you were the one that was chasing at the beginning of the relationship, and then you just kind
Yeah,
of pulled back. Now, when you pulled back, did she chase you? What did she do?
yeah. No, she so she ended up saying like yeah okay like she never chased me. It was more like I want to take this to the next step. Like
Right, right,
um we do it, and she said yes. So it was like
right. Okay. But there's always this at first, the triggering. And when she triggered you, would you act out? Would you go silent? What would you do before you did your deep healing work? When you got these triggers, what would
yeah
you do?
um I get it would turn to arguments
It would turn
like
into an
where
argument.
it's
Yeah,
yeah like the
yeah.
and just saying stuff that you don't mean
Right. So you were really
then
lashing out.
like
Mm,
yeah
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
and yeah and then you just feel bad for that stuff later, so it's sort of like
Right.
why even do that? But then I guess with the stuff like it's also linked to childhood, like so the way that um that express myself is sort of like it was linked to my childhood and what I'd seen.
Yes.
So um I'm from a single parent family, so my mum was the only one that was there, and my mum was great,
Yeah.
and she'd been put through a lot with my dad, and so I'm the oldest of my
Yeah.
siblings, and I was old enough to remember a lot
Right.
and
So
just
that's what you
seeing what had
saw.
happened.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, that's how you saw it, and then but also in say my group of friends,
Yeah.
a lot of us, I think nearly all of us were from single parent families.
Right.
So it was and um some had stepdads that were good, like
Yes.
um but some we had none, and we sort of like you're all young men that are trying to find your way, and you got to learn
Yeah.
to be a man,
Yeah.
but there's no men to
Without.
show you how to be a
Right.
man and how
Exactly.
to express yourself. Yeah, so it, I think all of that stuff, a lot of how you express yourself, or for me,
Mm,
a lot of my how to express myself
mm,
was linked to my childhood.
I got you.
Um, but again, like, and my mum was great. Like, my mum was the best mum. Like, she done anything for me and my
Yeah.
siblings. Um, and she did it for that community as well, where it was like
Yeah.
the other kids were like our house was like the open door
Right.
um house, and so
Got you.
we had kids there every day, um, and she'd take us all to sport and stuff like that. But I guess with men, it's like you need a man to to show you how to be a man. Is like my
Right.
mum just couldn't teach me things that
Yes.
like because she's a female
Yeah.
and also she's a mum, so there was things that I'd learned through trial and error
Got you. Got you.
because I didn't have that guidance. Um,
Yeah.
and then I'd have like male role models, like even my grandfather when he was there, he was good and he would tell me things, but it's like they're not there with you every day
Yeah.
as a child, and then you still got yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's a big part, definitely, of how people would express themselves when they're either clashing and stuff like that.
Yeah. I understand. Um, do you guys tell other people that you're twin flames, or is that something that you guys have kind of kept to yourself?
Um, I me personally, I can't recall me saying anything to anybody,
Yeah.
but I feel she would have spoke to her best friend,
Yeah.
who's like another female, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's sort of with me. I would speak about it, but I guess it just never comes up with anybody else.
Got you.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I get
And
there
is her?
is some
No, go ahead.
people. Sorry, um, there is some people that I would speak to because there's other couples that have in our lives that like they would show up at the strangest
Right.
times. Like my
Oh,
uncle that I was with the night that I met her, I
yes.
think that they would understand because him and his wife um they've always shown up at certain times in
Yeah.
my life, and
Yes.
my one of my older cousins, him and his partner, like, and it was strange, like it could be there was one time it was just we're broken down in the car, and my cousin and his wife would show up, like
Oh,
yeah.
like guides. They're like guides and protectors for you.
Yeah, and it was almost like other twins. And then
Wow.
my wife would always say like, I think they're twin flames. Like she would say that after we learnt about the thing, and
Right.
then we would sort of reflecting on all the times where we'd be sitting there, something would be happening, and they would just show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like is crazy. And she was saying that other twins can light up other twins or
Yes.
some. I'm not again like yeah. I'm still learning about all of
Of
this, and
course.
she's the one that relays the information to me.
Yeah. Is her best friend accepting of the the term twin flame, or is
Yeah, yeah,
okay? She is okay. Okay.
yeah.
Perfect.
They
Perfect.
I think they're really healthy for each other. They were together. Um, they had gone to that this festival, and so they were together when she had first
They were
heard
together
about
then.
the term.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. And was it from some
So
kind of, was it a lecture they were having, or did she consult a spiritual advisor? What happened at that festival
yeah,
exactly?
I'm I'm pretty sure she was getting reading done.
Ah, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And that's when that person explained to her what it was about.
Yeah, or I'd mentioned the term twin flame,
Right. And then she went
and it's like,
researching.
yeah, yeah.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. Got it. Okay, perfect. Um, Mex was asking about each other's dreams, but you did say that she is in your dreams sometimes, isn't it?
Sorry.
One of the questions from the chat was if you guys appear in each other's dreams, but I think you did mention that, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You
We
did mention that
definitely,
she's there. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Do you have an awareness that you guys have a mission outside your relationship to do something for humanity, or right now are you focusing more on the relationship itself?
Um, Sorry, can you ask that again?
Yes, let me answer a different way.
Sorry.
Now, from our understanding, it's like, everybody has a life purpose, right? There's something
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we've come on earth here to do, right? So we have our individual life purposes, but we usually think that twin flames also have some sort of life purpose or mission that kind of extends to the community. Is that something that you guys have talked about, or are you more focusing right now on building a strong, steady, and stable relationship?
Um, I think we're both definitely here to help our community.
Right.
Um, and I think um right now I think we've been building a really good foundation
Yes.
for
Yeah.
our relationship
Yes.
to then, and that will, I think, by us, it's sort of like by us focusing on our relationship, it
Yeah.
will naturally
This makes so much
like,
sense.
yeah, it will
Extend. Right.
naturally go extend into the community.
That makes so much
Um,
sense.
through our work, through just our being parents. So we
Yes.
have three
Very
beautiful
important.
children. So
Oh,
yeah, so like
beautiful.
our three babies, they obviously they come first. Um,
Yes, of course.
but in order to be the best, like we have to work on ourselves. It's
Yes.
yeah, everything I think sort of ties. Like we got to do our own individual work, which helps our relationship. Then do the work on our relationship, um, which all of them tie into us being parents, and that
Yes.
only benefits our children. And then um, from that, then it can go into the community um, through work, through just being a part of the community.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you, does this twin flame journey, because you said that you're an artist, does it influence your art? Do you see it showing up in your art?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It influences my art. Like my family definitely influenced my art. Like
Beautiful.
my wife, my kids, they influenced my art. And I guess that was something that I've learned in my healing too, is the importance of I think for anyone,
Yeah.
I can only speak for myself, but I know how important it is for me to be doing something that I love doing. Um,
Right. Yeah.
and that is a benefit to the community
Yes.
because I do like workshops and school programs as
Beautiful.
well. So
Yeah.
and for community groups as well.
That's
And
amazing.
my wife, she before we had met, she had already started her own charity. Um,
Oh,
she was doing work
wow.
over in Kenya. So
Yes.
I'd been a youth worker
Yes.
um growing up. So like all of like the stuff that we do, it sort of ties in. So like with my art and the workshops and programs and
Yes.
stuff, um, her work also ties in, and like we complement each other in a lot
Yes.
of things. Like
Yes.
where I'm not so good at things, she's really good at them.
Yeah.
Or where I'm really bad at some things, and um, she's really good, and it's cool. So yeah, I do believe that like our twin flame journey
Oh, beautiful.
is also something that's going to benefit
Yes.
all of that.
Makes sense. Do you believe in past lives?
Um, yeah, I do believe in past lives.
Do
It's
you,
I guess I don't really know much
yeah.
about it. Um,
Did you feel like when you met your wife, did you feel like you met her before, or you felt that kind of familiarity? What did you feel?
yeah, yeah, you could
Yeah,
say that. Yep,
you did.
definitely. I felt like we knew each other.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and our bond just keeps getting stronger. Like we can pick up on each other's energies.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Beautiful. All right. That was
almost
so
to the
amazing.
point.
Mhm.
Yeah, almost to the point of like we had to like with her. Um, if she can pick up on my energy really well. She can almost take that energy on herself. So we're also learning how
Ah,
to like how
right.
to sort of that's
Ah,
that's not my energy or that's not your and like yeah,
right. Right. So having energetic boundaries.
yeah.
Um, I got you.
So
I got you.
yeah, so then you can be there like yeah. And with that like there comes a because sometimes you sort of go back and you're like, oh, then no, that's not me. I'm not feeling that way. But then when you stop yourself and you go like, am I feeling that way? And you're like,
Right.
yeah, you're right. Like you
Oh,
actually are.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Someone was mentioned in the chat that they wanted your wife to come on at some point and hear her perspective. I don't know if she'll be open to that, but I we just enjoyed having you on today because, as I said, we get to liaise with other DFs about the journey and all that. But here we are, we're mutant twins who are in physical union with each other, and it's very rare to hear a DM talking about the journey. So that's definitely the perspective that you gave us today, and we just thank you so much about being so vulnerable and open. I hope you felt comfortable
No, that's
enough
fine.
to share your story. You know, it was
Yeah,
just so
that's
lovely.
fine.
It was lovely. Okay,
Nah, thank you for the opportunity. Like I said, I've never done this. And yeah,
you
it
did
was
so
cool.
well.
I respect the work that you do, and
Thank you.
it's cool.
Thank you very much, James. All right, so I'm gonna end the broadcast now. When I end the broadcast, we'll go back into studio, and then we can
No
just wrap
problem.
up. But guys, thank you so much for being here and sending so much love and energy towards James and being so welcoming, so supportive. You guys asked great questions, and thank you guys so very much. And I know it's early in the morning for some of you guys, and it's late in the night for James. So thank you for sacrificing your time, James, to just give us a greater perspective from the DM side. Okay. All right, guys. Take care.
Okay.
Bye. So I'm going to end it now. And I'll tell you when it's totally